Hey everybody, Alex Kazora, SteelersDepot.com, back with some more Pittsburgh Steelers recap and analysis of the team's 32-13 win over the Las Vegas Raiders. Good to get back in the win column. Let's talk about it. Before we start, if you guys could like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Would really appreciate that. So talking about this game, it's a win. Yes, the Raiders are not exactly going to be contenders this year, but it's just nice to have a game that was comfortable in the second half and for the team to win in one sense of how the game was supposed to be won, with a lot of defensive dominance and Pittsburgh getting the running game going. And while it was certainly not an easy game at all times, not like Pittsburgh came out of the chutes on fire and were dog walking the Raiders, not the case, but still to close out that game was the way this game was supposed to be closed out. So tough start here. Obviously, the Raiders go down and they march down the field. They play like Pittsburgh wants to play on their first possession. They run the football well. They really didn't have a negative play. They did not face a literal third down on that first drive. They used boot action well, punched the ball in. There was certainly a frustration as much as there's discussion about the Steelers' slow starts on offense. They've had some really slow starts on defense. And so that is something that really it needs to be corrected. I know it's not defining, and Mike Tomlin always says that's not how you define the game, and that's true based on how this one turned out, for example. But obviously, want to get off to quicker starts overall, always going to be the goal. But beyond that, defensively, Pittsburgh has a knack for kind of getting punched in the mouth early, and then they settle in. This is true against Atlanta, where they only got a field goal, but still it was a good first drive for the Falcons, and they got little after that. The Colts game, a couple of tough drives early. Pittsburgh settled in, wasn't as crisp in the second half, but they settled in. This game, another example of that. After that first drive, it's like Pittsburgh has to get a look at the defense or look at the opposing offense, and then once they get that look, and once the opposing team is off their 15-play-ish kind of script and game plan, then it's Pittsburgh's aces. And so it's interesting to kind of see how that goes. But, I came into this game knowing that the Raiders really had no big threats offensively besides rookie tight end Brock Bowers. I mean, they were missing their top receivers. They got a new quarterback in there. The line's not that good. The running backs didn't scare me. There wasn't a lot where I'm sitting there going, okay, this is going to be where the Raiders can win and can have an edge on Pittsburgh. And so it was just about playing clean and making the plays that were there in Pittsburgh. Got around to doing that. They got turnovers. I mean, there's such a timely defense. Well, they'll bend, but they don't break. They got so many red zone takeaways. They got 4 this season, 12 of the past 2 years. That both those stats lead the NFL. And TJ Watt, what more can you say about a guy like that? This is why he's the best, defensive player in football, because he's not just a pass rusher. He's not somebody where if you take him away as a rusher with a great tackle or just an all-out game plan to slide and chip everything to him, that he wilts. I mean, he will make the impact some other way, whether it's in coverage, whether it's swatting passes, or today, 2 forced fumbles in the run game. And him punching the ball out is nothing new. And it's one of those things where you're going to probably punch the ball out probably 100 attempts and maybe get 3 of them. And you just hope that you can get him at the right times. And Pittsburgh got them today. So that's what makes TJ Watt so good. He is well-rounded. He can impact the game, no matter how you approach him, and even if you do take him away as a pass rusher, which by and large the Raiders did today. Just overall, once the Raiders couldn't get things going on first down, and really Brock Bowers was not an impactful player in this one, Pittsburgh knew that he was their top guy and treated him as they should, like a number 1 receiver, like a CeeDee Lamb, like a Jamar Chase, in terms of we're going to put Porter on him when he's backside 2-by-1, we're going to bracket, we're going to make sure he's not wrecking this game. He got some garbage time stats. I think he maybe had 6 catches for 70 yards or so. There was 1 completion, downfield wiped out by penalty. But overall, I mean, there was some RPO stuff where I thought Pittsburgh could have done a better job early, but even they adjusted there, and Beanie had a good tackle for loss when they have 3-by-1, and Bowers is number 3, kind of swinging out in the flat, and the Raiders do that a ton, and it just didn't kill Pittsburgh, and so that was good. I was really happy that Pittsburgh did not give up a big play. What was the longest? I'll have to look up. What was the longest play from scrimmage the Raiders had in this one? Their longest run was 10. Their longest completion was 30, and that was left side on that kind of not jump ball, but over there by Porter where Roberts cleaned it up and Turner got hurt on. Other than that, that was their only completion beyond 20 yards was that Turner catch for 30. So my thought was as long as you don't give up the big play with some of the speed the Raiders have at receiver, you're going to be okay. And that's what happened. And so overall, the D-line started cooking. Cam Hayward played a great game and got some pressure there. And so that was really important. Dante Jackson, another interception, almost had a second in this game. So overall, just a timely place there. And the defense settling down, stopping the run, taking away Bowers, no deep ball. That's going to win you games. Offensively, tough start overall. Frustrated to see this team sputter and could get some drives going, could get a first down or two. The first drive, for example, a couple nice plays. You get a good completion to Najee for, I think, a first down, a run to Najee for a first down, and things stall out from there. And so there was some sputtering. And so it was really good for the defense and special teams to provide those splash plays and give Pittsburgh a short field. You need those things in games where your offense is not sustaining and unable to finish drives. And so that was important. But the offense was able to settle in themselves and run the ball and ran for $183 in this game, over 5 yards per carry and 3 rushing touchdowns. And so that was all fantastic. See, Najee Harris, though, was certainly great in this game, and he's taken a lot of criticism. The numbers have not looked good, but you saw him run with power, with anger, and some burst on that 36-yard run coming out the other side and tearing down the left sideline and diving over the pylon and goal line for the touchdown. So his best game of the season, obviously, 7.6 yards per carry. That is a single game best for him in his entire Steelers/NFL career. And so that was good. Thought the run game was getting going in this one. And you knew it was capable of doing that with the Raiders having a pretty below average run defense and missing nose tackle Christian Wilkins, but you still weren't sure could Pittsburgh actually do it. And they did. And that was key. Justin Fields ran well when needed to. 2 rushing touchdowns. He's got 5 on the season. Pretty crazy there. First quarterback since Cordell Stewart to have at least 5 rushing touchdowns by a Pittsburgh Steeler in a single season. The fourth down one, that was a critical play. They ran play action, which is debatable in itself. I know that can work. I think Cleveland had gotten an easy touchdown off of that a couple weeks ago. And so I get the thought there, even though there's the risk in it. But the Raiders defended it well. In part because Pittsburgh cannot run play action effectively to save their lives, but they took it away. And so that's where the mobility of a quarterback comes in. If it's a pocket passer, you're in big trouble because that whole play is predicated on fooling the defense. And if they're not fooled, you don't have many people out in the pattern, you don't have much space. Your O-line's trying to give some semblance of run blocking. If they're not in a pass set, you're in trouble. And so Fields made it work, improvised, and found the end zone. That was critical to go up 12-7 instead of remaining 7-6 off the first TJ Watt fumble. You do not want to come away with 0 points there and waste that opportunity entirely. So that was key. It's a win, and that's great. And Fields was under some siege in this one a little bit and had the 2 rushing scores. But as a passer, I just thought it was his worst game objectively of the year. I thought he was really struggling at the line to get calls in, to get to the line. There were 2 delay games. Could have been a third. Just a lot of issues and pain points there. Even before Zach Frazier went down, even with him in there were still those issues. And with Steelers Nation taking over that stadium, crowd noise was a bit of an issue, I'm sure, but not like you're playing in Indy where it was super, super loud there. And I just thought his accuracy was poor, missing at one point 3 straight incompletions. The pick that got negated on the roughing the passer. If that play stands, if there's no roughing the passer on that, and Fields gets picked by that linebacker over the middle, they might have made a quarterback change at halftime. You might have seen Russell Wilson come in because Pittsburgh could not afford to lose this game, to drop 3 straight and to lose to the Raiders, a team that they're better than. So, obviously it was negated and they scored on that one, I believe, and all, well and good. But I just didn't think he had a real sharp game in a lot of ways as a passer. As a runner, he was good, but as a passer and just kind of operationally, the snaps were clean at least, but there were some other issues there. So really interested to see what Mike Tomlin has to say about the starting quarterback in Week 7 against the Jets. It's a real coin flip right now. Special teams got to shout out Chris Boswell. He was great, more from 50-plus yards, at one point providing really the bulk of the offense until the end zone was found later in this one. Jeremiah Moon, free rush up the A-gap, block punt. That was a game changer again. Special teams, defense, shortening the field, creating opportunities for the offense they weren't otherwise getting. That was critical. So no one schemes up punt blocks the way that Danny Smith and the Pittsburgh Steelers do. I've lost count. They had 3 last year. They had 1 this year. They had 2 3 years ago. So they do it on a regular basis, and excited to watch that one on the tape. Jeremiah Moon starting an outside linebacker, but to make that splash play on special teams, really, really cool to see. Other quick notes, thought Kevin Austin had a good game. 2 key third down conversions. Deshaun Elliott played well. Dante Jackson with his interception. Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson. All those guys seem to play well. Guys who struggled. I mean, the penalties were an issue offensively. I should have mentioned that. You're putting yourself in the 1st and 19, 2nd and 16, 2nd and 18. It's just stuff most offenses can't sustain and overcome, and certainly Pittsburgh is not able to do that. They did a better job overall getting out of some of the situations than I thought, but still don't want to be in those, obviously. And so the penalties were an issue. Pittsburgh talks about cleaning those things up and not hurting yourselves, and they continue to do that. And so that will have to continue to be addressed and hopefully at some point taken care of. But Broderick Jones looked like a tough game for him, dealing with Crosby and a couple holding calls and getting beat. We'll have to check the tape on that. But overall, Pittsburgh winning this one 32-13. That's the way the score should have been, even though it wasn't exactly the most graceful and clean and out-of-the-gate way to do that. It's a 19-point win on the road, which does not happen often for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.